I go back and forth between California and Nashville. I am a California native, if you don't know me. Hey, hey. Cam's also a California native. That's why, you know. Okay, let us get her on. Ah, here she comes. Hey, Lindsay. Hi, Tracy. Totally get it. Totally get it. I just put my niece to sleep. Hi, Alabama. Hi, Tracy. We are connecting with Cam. It's just taking a moment, but we are going to get there. Is it coming, Cam? Ah. Let me cancel that and then add her back. Here we go. Let me try that again. I think something got frozen, so I'm going to join her now. Here she is. I was like, it says connected for a long
I know.
time.
I was like, am I in it?
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, I'm okay. How are you?
Yeah. I'm doing pretty good. I'm so happy. My pal Chelsea, who's my photographer and like graphic designer and just a friend that's been on tour with me for a really long time, like she is staying with us and helping with Lou. It's like, and they love each other. Like they're like
sweet.
two peas in a pot. So it's whoo, help. Yeah.
You're like, yes.
It is. I'll tell you what, it just every day I'm just so blown away that all of us were raised by someone and they made it work.
See? Oh,
I'm just amazed.
I'm like, okay, one more month of 2020. One more month. And not that 2020, I believe, is going to be any easy. 2021 is going to be easier, but I'm like,
I know.
Yeah. But I'm loving being out here with my niece, and
I know.
I feel so blessed that as a songwriter, I can do it from anywhere.
Yeah.
So though 2021 like flipped me in a lot of different ways, it kind of was a blessing in the sense I get to be out here with my niece, can write songs, then hang out with her. Like,
and you are, it's like full lockdown now, right?
Yeah, back in California, like it's locked down, restaurants are closing, and so I'm just like, okay, like it's time to be still and just hang out. And she's, almost one, like Lou, so just moving around and shuffling.
I know.
It brings me back to like, okay, we all start this way. Yeah. And then the world and everything else changes us to.
So I've been thinking about this so much. Like I was just reading this thing on, because we're born so helpless. Whereas like other species, like a horse has got to run right away, and all that kind of, and human beings, our brains are too big. So we get born while we still can fit through, the canal.
Yeah.
But then we're not done. We're not cooked. So we're helpless. And so we have this great gift and this also great burden of childhood, which doesn't exist for like other species. And during that time you're learning and it's fantastic and like it's communal and there's so much to what gets put into you, but also programmed into you. And then, it is. No, I definitely think about this a lot.
I've been talking to like my sister about it because I buy Ruby, my niece, books that other people don't buy her. I'm like, let's buy a book on, I have a board book on anti-racism. I have like a board book on the colors of the world. And I'm like,
sweet doll.
And sweet doll, yes. And the little doll, I'm like, you don't need a white doll. Like you're going to have a black doll from a black company and we're going to feed you things that society is not going to innately feed you.
And that's what they say it like it really affects kids from a very young age. If you're not seeing people, then you're identifying who's trustworthy and who's part of your group and who isn't, and if no one in your group looks different than you, then it's going to play out for you the rest of your life. So it's very
going to. And it affected me. Like as a kid, I'm like, I didn't realize I was black. So for a long time. And I'm like, oh, wait, I'm black. Like that, even now I think I didn't realize that I was different or I was anything else. So I'm like, Ruby, and for any of my friends, I only give them Black dolls, and I give them book by Black authors. I don't, I feel like the world will give them the other stuff. TV will give you the other stuff. I'm like, for me,
exactly,
this is what you're going to expect.
Yeah.
And
you got plenty
I've had no like
story that everybody is doing. You got all that.
Yes.
You got plenty of the one story that is like everywhere. And then,
I'm just like, even my, I posted on my stories this, and I have a few friends that did it. They have the elf doll for like their kids, and they like took off the hat and put like an afro in it and like glued that in. And like, so the doll has just like flavor. And I'm like, yes. Yeah. I'm like, why does it have to look one way? Why do things have to be manufactured
and also,
one way?
I don't want my money. Like, I'll buy Black elves. I'll buy the Black Santa. Like,
yes. Oh, Black Santa is my thing. I just actually ordered some wrapping paper from a Black-owned company, and it's like all the characters on it, all the elves, everything are Black. And I'm like, yeah, that's what Ruby's getting. Wrapping all her presents in that. All my friends' gifts are in that. Because I'm like, why not change what we are seeing? Because that's another way to change the world. Like, people go, oh, my actions aren't going to do anything. I'm like, well, they do.
I know.
They do, because what you emit is what people are seeing from you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're going to see some Black excellence out of my feed and out of what I'm buying you. What I'm spending my money on is going to be what I believe in.
Yeah. And that is the thing too, like, starting from the beginning, when we talk about like how we're making a change, for me, it's always like, oh, it's so overwhelming. There's so many things you need to do. And can you change a system that is built one way, you know, and if you're trying to change that, it's going to take forever. And even you yourself are already programmed and can't fully deprogram. So then you're like, okay, let's start at the beginning and give them as much possibility. But if you don't make an attempt at the same time to adjust the structures that are existing, then once they become full-grown human beings, what are they stepping into? You know, so like, you have to do all, you don't have to do it. Everybody, we all get to do all the things together to keep getting better. And like, we are brilliant, imaginative, like, there were a select group of people that made this and cemented this white supremacy culture and structure over a long time. It's very detailed and purposeful, but humans made it, so we can make something better.
Oh, I've been in that realm so deeply, because I'm like, okay, we have a new president coming in. We have all these things that people are like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, that means we have a chance. That doesn't mean things change. Like, the structures are still the same. Like, everything is still the same. It's now up to us collectively to put pressure on governments, to put pressure on agencies, to put pressure on boards and all the things that we're a part of, individually and collectively, to start to change it. Because it's going to be for our children's lifetime that we're trying to make this change. Yes, we will benefit from starting to dismantle white supremacy and some capitalistic notions and things like that. But our kids and our kids' kids, like, what do we want their worlds to be? What do I want them? I don't want my kid to have the same childhood as me. I don't want them to have to unlearn as much as I've had to unlearn.
And they're going to have, even if we do it 100% right, they're still going to have stuff that we can't see.
Yeah.
That they're going to be like, yeah, you didn't even see this part. It's like, I mean, you just got to do the best you can. And collectively, I really do think collectively, like, I mean, I guess I don't fully know, but I would assume if you're asked the question, like, should we do this together? Like, do you want to live life as a group? Whether you call that a community or a nation or whatever, like, are we all agreeing that we want to do it together? Do we want to figure out food together? Do we want to figure out healthcare together? Do we want to share all that? And
Yeah.
if you're saying yes, then you just got to figure out the details of agreeing on what it is we want to share and how we want to share it. But there's that first decision of like, just recognizing that everybody, most people, it seems, have decided like we think we can do better together.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's important to just keep asking it. I mean, do you think, do you want to do it together?
And I think that's also where we get into like anti-racism. People go, oh, I'm not racist. I'm like, well, unless we're actively as a collective working on being anti-racist, because our society's roots are racist, and that's something we can't control. We can't control what we were born into generationally.
Right.
All of our like the way it is.
Yeah.
But
it's like
we can try to work on being anti-racist and notice what we're already in.
Right. Which notice is such a good word. It's like saying, okay, I'm going to write my life story. I'm going to make my life what I want it to do with what I have. And I'm going to write my story. And then the paper that you were given is already has it in the pen and the paper you were given to write your life story already has this hierarchical structure built in.
Yeah.
So like, that's that thing is like, can you just notice it? You're like, oh, and then when it first clicks for you, for me, this is how it was for me as like a white cis het, you know, like the thing, all the things,
all the things,
all the things that is the thing. And at first you're just like, whoa, this is heavy, because everybody else has been seeing it for a long, or most people who are experiencing it obviously are seeing it. So it's like overwhelming. You're like, whoa, I see it everywhere now. Or maybe not still catching up to like pieces, but wow, how am I ever going to unlearn this and know it all? And then you start to just realize like, it's not about like you, like, it doesn't have to feel so upsetting and defensive and stuff. It's just like, oh yeah, like there's kind of this, not an, like absolving you, but you are in it. You have been given it. Yeah. And now what? And now let's keep feeling like we can imagine and paint something brand new. And like, let's keep thinking that like when something like, you really have to be careful too. When something comes along, I've noticed this, something comes along and everyone goes, okay, like we have black squares and we care and we're going to do something. And everyone really wants to applaud like a small, you know, pulling of the tiny bit, you pull the knife out of someone's back. But the danger is you're like, well, if I speak, I see it for what it is. And if I speak my full truth, people are going to be uncomfortable. They're going to be upset. And then people won't even want to do the bare minimum anymore. Yeah. And I am just done with this feeling because I really, you were put here with your complete potential. And if you can see something, you need to express yourself fully because number one, you don't know everything. So like, don't think that you know everything and you're, you know, running your mouth too much. Like you're about to get schooled even when you open your mouth. And like, two, like if you don't ask for everything, you are shutting doors behind every action that's happening. Someone does like a tiny good thing. And if you go, yay, that's enough. Like you don't have to be, I get it. You don't have to like criticize and make people feel bad or whatever. Like, but the point is, if you don't call it like it is, people will think that that's enough because they really do not see, they honest to God do not know that what they're doing is not even close to enough. And like, how can you like, you know what I mean? Where people are like, well, it's your job to keep them motivated. And it's like, no, it's your job to keep everything as clear and truthful as possible so people can be motivated and move in their circles where they can move, because you can only make changes where you can make changes. Like you're going to be limited by that. If this is not some like big cheerleading convention, it's like, oh my God, thank you for doing the
thank you for realizing this exists. I have a on that line, I have a huge problem, and I had felt bad about it, and I am also over it. I have a huge problem with people applauding what is good, what you should be doing anyway. I think you should say, awesome, you're noticing it. I don't think you should bash people for making changes and being progressive or whatever they need to do. But I also don't think they should get so much applause, because there are so many more levels that we have to go, that if you're applauding that much, let's also look at the facts.
Yeah.
And I'll use like country music as an example. People applaud like certain things, but then you look and you go, oh, but let's actually look at radio play. Let's look at numbers. Let's look at what's actually going on. We shifted this like 0.00%. Like, we have so far to go.
Yeah.
Like, even when I look at our friend Mickey, who is one of my favorite people on the planet, what the praise that she is getting is still not where she would be if she was white. Like, it's still not where she would be if she was a Carrie Underwood or something like that. She's still coming against, she's Black.
Yeah.
So, and it took her writing a song saying that she's Black to get you to acknowledge it, and it still doesn't get the radio play that I believe it should get. I think it gets
the label support.
I don't think
or the label support. Yeah.
Or the label support, or any of the marketing thing. It doesn't get what it needs.
People
I think
come up with
it's more than it would have gotten, and she has more.
You know what it reminds me of? Wait, let me see if I'm smart enough to do this thing where you pull in a photo. Am I good at that? No, I don't think I know how to do this. There's like do you remember that photo of Beyonce and Ed Sheeran?
Yes.
And she is like just done up in the most beautiful structured pink frilly dress, and like looks like something out of a dream. And then, you know, Ed's like talented as all get out, but standing there in, you know, t-shirt and jeans.
Yes.
And it just reminds you of just like, oh my God, what we expect out of women, out of Black women, like, I mean, is to be just, you know, exceptional. If you're going to be let in the door. And even then, like in Mickey's case, you're supposed to like sit there for 10 years while they give you excuses of why things aren't ready or aren't right. And like people, this thing, because people like to, when you bring this up, people on like Twitter and stuff like to come back with like, or Instagram or whatever, like the fans like to come back with as if it's a meritocracy, like as if she was good enough, it would be happening.
That's not how this works.
Not how this works. And, but I love that you think that. And honestly, fans, I think I almost need like a label where I'm like, I'm just talking to industry folks. You know what I mean? I want the fans to know, but really I'm speaking to the industry to let them know that like, I see what's happening and other people see it too. And you're not doing your part. Like you're not doing it right. And so fans love music. Like if you give them music, they love it. Like I'm not even,
you give them access to it.
Fans. Yeah. Like, I mean, the only like quarrel that I would have is that like, I think we've made country music a safe space for racists. So there are some fans that are like openly racist, openly homophobic. There's not that many, but there's a few of them that feel safe enough to say those things in the country music sphere. And that's not what
on top of that, I'll say also there are some country artists that don't want to lose those fans.
Right.
So they stay silent. But I'm like,
which is so weird.
Do we need those fans?
No, because there's not that many of them. Most country music, like that's what makes me upset is like just to really distinguish, like the fans are good people. Like they love good music. We are like a community. We're here for each other. And the reason that these couple people come in and are super loud is because we allow them to feel safe saying kinds of really dangerous, threatening, violent things. And like, that's where I know country music doesn't like to get into the weeds on this stuff. Like, and I don't know what to exactly say about that because obviously that's not how I feel, but I do think you have to say like, but by the way, if you're here, like being threatening to other people that are country fans, like we don't need you. Like, like you got to get your act together. Like, we want you, come be a part of this, but like, just leave that. You know what I mean? Like, we got to, I don't know, there's a way, but back to the industry part of it. I just think when we're talking about opportunity and people getting the money from the label, the platform that they have access to, like country radio, like, you know, YouTube, like all that, you know, advertising, like there's a reason that we call it an industry, is because it's set up with things of ways to distribute and amplify. It's not just make music and then it's good and you share it with people. Like, that happens in our backyards. We all do that. That's amazing. But if you're trying to make this into like a business and you're trying to share it with people and sort of like have a big impact, like nationally, then
and globally.
Yeah, globally, like, don't act like you're giving equal opportunity when you aren't.
You're not.
Like,
yeah. You're not. And what I appreciated is what you posted on Twitter, and then I told you, and I reposted it on my page after the CMAs, right? CMAs? Yeah. And saying that basically what I interpreted as, like, don't take the crumbs. Like, take what you need. Like, when people come, if you're a black artist, because black country artists are a little trendy right now, and labels are trying to get on board with some trends. I see. That's how I look at it from my view.
Or they're trying to do good.
Yeah, they're trying to do good, but they're also tokenizing it, which is white supremacy. Like, it's all coming back into white saviorism. Like, oh, we found this black artist and we're going to raise them up. And I'm like, no, don't. Be aware as like a young black artist, especially young black girls, that you still have power. That you still have power, and you aren't a token.
You have so much, and that's something.
That's why I love Mickey. She's very straight on who she is, what she believes in, and she's very honest. And she's honest publicly. Yeah,
and she's learning. You know what I mean? Like, she's had to learn all this, so we're watching her learn it too. But I mean, that's why I feel like being 100% about Mickey's journey and what she's doing is so important for everyone that comes after her, because like, if you are making a calculated decision that you want to get ahead, and so you're going to sign a deal that doesn't look great, or you're going to work with white managers, or you're going to work with, and I'm speaking for like to young black women right now, because you can learn anything from white women and where we've made mistakes is that you think you need to cozy up to people in power positions that do not understand you and your journey as an artist. Like, I mean, if it's not to be understood, I don't know what it is, but like, you need people on your team. And so if you're making a calculated decision to bring people on that don't look like you, then honestly, that is your call. But if you think you have to play it that way, and you don't get to bring along people that look like you for your own benefit, not even talking about for their benefit, like, that's not a system that I want to be a part of. That you feel like you want to have a black manager and you can't do it. I don't like, that's not fair that you have to choose that way. You should choose the best manager because they're the best manager for you. And like, that's where I realize
this business as an artist is the people that are in your inner circle are your safety, are your honesty, are who you can bounce things off of. And if you're bouncing things off of people that don't look like you, and yes, it would be hard to have also an all black team. Like, but like for me, like I wouldn't want somebody doing my hair that doesn't know how to do my hair, that doesn't understand that I wrap my hair at night, that doesn't understand what edges are, doesn't understand that stuff. That doesn't mean that person needs to be black, but they need to understand me, because I don't want to have to explain myself in my circle.
And just because someone
to just know what's up.
Right. Like, and just someone posted a black square and says they care about black lives does not mean that they understand fully how to do your hair or fully how to. And so that's where like we're trying to lift up young artists that belong in this space, like young queer artists, young black artists, disabled artists. Like we need your stories. The world needs your stories. Like I want to lift up those voices, but then also this is something that like Andre Williams and I talk about, but then are you just going to lift them up to then feed them to the wolves. You
Yeah,
know,
like where are they
who's
going?
going to
You're
be there
lifting
for
them up
them?
with no places for them to thrive.
Right.
And that's what I get confused by with artists also. Like, I appreciate people calling out things and calling out artists and being like, yeah, we want you here. But if you want them here, also we have to look at how to keep them here.
Yeah.
How do we keep them? How do we keep people in a place and have them feel safe and have
And
them
not
feel
go to
like they
another
can be
genre.
honest? Because not
Yeah.
everybody has and I say the cloud of Mickey. Mickey has been here a long time. She has put in time, so she does have a level of respect. Not everybody coming in has that level, and not everybody has the confidence to not
Yeah.
to stand up to the power and know that when you walk into that room, the chances of people looking like you in that meeting, at that label, at that radio, when you're doing a radio tour, very slim. Feeling
Yeah.
safe on a radio tour, feeling safe to be able to go to all the places, and people realizing, oh, if I go to this place, she's going to be a little uncomfortable. So let's make sure we give her some extra support because this town or this culture, we have to win them over. But we know what they really believe. Like, let's be honest with it. Let's not pretend that racists and sexists and people don't exist, because they do. How do we work in to go against it, you know?
Yeah. 100%. And I feel like what you said too, like people being called out, like, just so you know, you don't have to feel like you're going to lose. You shouldn't feel this way, but like people who are here as allies, like, I want to be corrected. We watched Jason Isbell. He wants to be corrected. Like Marin wants to be corrected. Like, because we're not going to get it right, because we're coming in. We can't see it. We can't see everything. We're coming in with good intentions, but we're going to mess up 100%. And we need, it's not fair, but we still need to get taught, you know? And like that part is, I just want to like keep encouraging everyone to like, open communication as much as possible. That doesn't mean it's going to be smooth sailing. Yeah, we're going to all have like arguments and stuff too. But like, if we're really going to do this, like
well, on Marin, like when she posted, I had some people that are not in country and being like, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about her saying those names? I'm like, first of all, I'm like, everybody she mentioned are my friends. I'm thankful. Use her platform for good. I'm like, but also I'm like, I want to talk to her about how we can dig deeper, because you have the clout and the power to use your privilege to dig deeper. And that excites me. I'm like, this is what the fans and the people and the media will see, but let's do the work that nobody's going to see. And I don't think I think she is willing to do that. But that's what excites me. Like, this makes me like, okay, we're acknowledging, but let's dig deeper. And that's what me and you, we talk on the phone, and let's dig deeper into the stuff that people aren't going to see, that isn't fashionable, that isn't trendy. Yeah. But it's going to change the landscape.
And that's where if you're working in your space, because people are always like, what do I do? And it's like, okay, cool. We're going. Here we go. Train's rolling. You in your space, like, start looking around, like, who is around you, and who can you, because if it's all white, or if it's all male, or if it's like, you know, if it's all straight people, you know, like all these kind, if any time that you're realizing it's purposely been designed this way, like, and you're kind of falling into it because it's easier. So like, look, you know your space best. So for me, I can turn around as an artist and I can see, okay, I have musicians that I hire. That's money going into people's pockets. And if they're all one kind of musician, then it's only going to one community. And I have, you know, hair and makeup I'm hiring. I have publicists I'm hiring. I have management. I have a label I'm working with. And each of those things, I'm funneling dollars into people saying, I somehow align with what you're doing and think you deserve, you know, money. And like, there's groups of people that deserve money that are not getting the opportunity. So you just have to, like, when you're starting to ask, like, what can I do? Like, start making the list of people that are connected to you, like, economically,
Yeah.
And like, oh yeah, Lindsay's talking about the same thing with disabled, like the disabled community. Like,
Yeah.
oof, yeah, I know this stuff is so like, this is so important. Like, we don't even talk about disability in the country music community, and like visible or not, you know, and just there's a lot to go into that too, like the romanticization of like people's mental health failing and how that's somehow like artistic. All
Yeah.
of these things, like you need to just like look around, like how is your story intertwined with other people's stories that are different from yours, and like economically intertwined with stories that are different than yours. So
It's
it's a lot,
it,
and it's in those power structures we need to ask for it too, like not just in your own team, but like, do you see it on the board? Do you see it in the
yeah,
leadership? Do you see it in the membership? Like, you know.
exactly. Like I appreciated that the Grammys, their newest class of members, the level of women they had, minorities, and these aren't people that they were just given it to. These people earned the spot, but they opened the eyes to make sure that they were looking beyond what they would ordinarily look at for new members. And then that, what people don't know, like those members can vote. So if you have a broader membership base of industry people,
Right.
the voting becomes more broad, and you give opportunities to people. If all the members, let's say, were white males,
Yeah.
they're not going to, they're going to see in their scope, because that's,
Mm-hmm.
you are your environment. But
Mm-hmm.
if you have Indian, and if you have Asian, and if you have Black, and if you have queer, you have all these things in your membership group for like the Grammys,
Mm-hmm.
then when you see nominations in the next few years,
Yeah.
you'll see a broader view of nominations that
Right.
represent the people.
This is so important because people who feel disenfranchised and feel like they're not represented a lot of times say, I don't want to bother being a part of that, which
Mm-hmm.
is totally your choice. But also, if we did have an influx of membership and leadership, like both,
Yeah.
of people from much like wider array of representation, you're gonna see it work better. Not
Yeah.
perfect, but better. And that, yeah, that part is, it's a slow grind, because also you're asking like young people to like see value in something where like, yeah, maybe they don't see themselves, so why
Yeah.
would they, you know?
Exactly. And to
Gotta build
also,
something new too.
mm-hmm, and then to also circle back to mental health. I think that we need to be aware that all of this ties into each other. Like even
Mm-hmm.
I posted the other day, I've had a lot of anxiety. I'm an anxious person. All this stuff with race and everything has made me more anxious. So I just was honest. I was like, you guys, I'm anxious. I'm stressed. It's okay. And being allowed to say that, and feeling comfortable, and feeling like I'm not going to lose people, or people aren't going to be, I'm not trying to make you comfortable by saying it. I'm just saying my truth so that you
Yeah.
know where I'm coming from, what I'm doing, and noticing that a lot of people aren't saying it. And I'm like, and I know because I talk to a lot of people, and we're all anxious, and
Yeah.
we're stressed, and
And it's
I'm
like,
beyond
we're like
stressed.
canaries in the coal mine, right? Where it's like this environment isn't healthy. Like that's where like this,
Mm-hmm.
so much of like the psychology background too, like the DSM-4, like things
Yeah,
that are diagnosing, like it's just, can you function in society? Like
yeah,
then you're fine. And if you can't, then you're not fine. And it's like, so like the whole definition of like, you know, sick versus healthy and mentally ill versus mentally fine is like,
I always
are
say,
you,
I'm like, I'm mentally ill. I'm like, I thrive and I do my thing, but I'm like,
yeah,
I have issues, and I'm okay with being honest that I go to therapy. I have a Black therapist because that's important to me. I have a Black doctor. That's important to me
that
for
is
my
very,
comfort level. That doesn't mean every Black person has to do that. I choose to do
they
that.
definitely, please, like that medical racism is like
It's
terrifying.
just, it's
So
huge. And I have a doctor in California, and I have a doctor in Nashville, and in the South, especially, not saying that Nashville's racist, but the birth rates, and there's more problems. There's it shows more. So I'm like, I need a Black doctor here. And I had to search and I had to search it out. And I had to make sure I had insurance to cover it. And that was just that alone caused me so much anxiety. And there was not a support system and people that I could talk to find those doctors out. So now I tell my friends and stuff, if you need a doctor, I know a Black doctor. Good. Because if I want to have a kid or something, I want a Black woman to do that, because I know my health in this system is at risk.
Yeah.
Not because of anybody, but just that system. The chances of me having a problem giving birth versus you having a problem giving birth, I have a higher risk.
Yeah, like 3 to 1.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm going to try to make sure my stack of cards is a little like my deck. I'm going to try to make sure I'm okay. As much as I can, as much as I have power to.
Oh.
And I also, for me, I like to surround myself with a wide variety of races. Like, I like having Black, white, Asian, but also that's because that's what I grew up in. I grew up in the Bay, and my family is like 5 races. So I'm like, I like to look at that. But if you're in my super inner circle, there's going to be some Black women that I'm like, yeah, you're going to tell me how it is, because that's in our culture too. Like, you're not going to sugarcoat anything for me. And I need that industry wise.
I feel like
everybody else will sugarcoat things for their profit.
Yeah. Or just
I'm not about sugarcoating for profit. And I know that I can't change the industry, but I can change how I interact in the industry.
Yeah. But I think we could change the industry too.
Yeah. Well, that's our goal. We're going to change it.
Well, I just think younger people, what makes me so inspired, and that's why I feel like so obligated to work like for them, is that they have a tiny bit clearer of a space than we do. They have a little less baggage, and I just really want them I want to encourage everybody to just say, like, you got to know the full potential that you have and the full, what you deserve. And that sounds really simple, but like, you got to educate yourself on what those resources look like. Like, what is that dollar amount? Like, I know $10,000 seems like a lot, but if it's offered to you in exchange for 50% of your publishing over the next 5 years, do you know what that's worth? Do you know if that's correct? It's not correct.
It's not.
But just like, you need to know what that means, or you need to have someone you really trust who can advise you. But you got to learn all that stuff, because people in the power positions, they know. Like, they know exactly what they're going to get and what their money is worth and how they're going to get paid back. Like, they make sure they get paid back. Like, there's kind of like a politeness, almost like, oh, I couldn't possibly, that's too forward of me, or that's, I haven't earned the right to ask for that yet.
You have to earn for your future. Like, you have to know what you're going to be worth 5 years from now. You have to believe in yourself 5 years from now, so that you can ask for that now and negotiate, because you have the right to negotiate.
Yeah.
And especially right now, being a Black artist, look at the trends. Look at, especially I say Black artists, queer artists, like, look at the trends and look at where people are starting to put their money, put their focus on TikTok and Instagram and all of these things, and how streaming there'll probably be a change in streaming laws and how much money and your points. Like, you have to start educating yourself so that you don't lose in the future. And I always say, it's hard to find the information if you don't if you're fearful of it. So don't be fearful of information. Be like, I want to know all the things.
I love that.
I want to know all of the stuff. I'm not scared
you can
to know.
Them. Yes.
And it's not okay. It's okay to say no to things. It's okay to be like, you know what? This isn't right for me. So I'm going to say no. And I'm going to trust that something else is going to come along, because I know my talent. I know my talent. I don't need to sign on to this because you don't believe in my talent. And most of the time, that thing will circle back around better. It will. It circles back around. I've said no to background singing gigs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, that's not worth my time. And they're like, oh. And then they come back around like, oh, we'll give you this. And I'm like, yeah, that's worth my time. And that's worth my talent. I've worked hard to learn how to sing.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to pay me what I need to pay, because I got bills and I have to find somebody to do my makeup and I have to find somebody to do my hair. Like, I have to also know what it's going to cost me to get this stuff done.
Yeah.
Like, and then I try to bless the people around me that have been with me, and that's how I am. And I wish Nashville, and I want to create this in Nashville. And we've talked about this, a place for minority artists to learn a lot, because not everybody goes to college. Like, I have a music industry master's, so I know a lot more than I would have if I would have moved to Nashville at 19, 18.
Right.
Like, I wouldn't have known contracts and that I need a lawyer and when I need a lawyer and all of these things. And luckily I have a lot of my publishing still based on, I was like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
And you get to do that for who you work with. Like, also, if somebody comes in to, like, for example, like, be a part, like, I had 2 background singers come in to help with the Bluebird show recently, and one of them showed up and, like, didn't have it down.
Yeah.
And so I just said, no, thank you. Like, I'll bring somebody else. Like, and you just have to be, like, ready to just say, like, this is the standard. And this is what I ask for people that are coming to work with me in any capacity. And it's just like, because you care about the music and you care about yourself and you care about the people that are working hard, that did do the work, you know, and like, that standard. I think there's sometimes people that feel like, I see this argument a lot, that being thoughtfully and intentionally diverse in, like, the people you work with, somehow there's a loss of, like, quality because you're doing things that are just picking people just to check boxes or whatever. And that's a thing that I do believe there are people that are checking boxes, and I don't, that's a whole other thing. But, like, no, the people, like, just for the record, it won't always be like this once finally everything is equal, but the people who have not been given chances work much harder, and are most of the time much more talented, much more professional. Like, I know I'm generalizing, but I'm just saying, like, people who have not been given chances, like, and are still here trying to get chances, like, they are working hard. You know what I mean? So, like, if anything, the quality goes up. So,
and I'll say,
maybe when things are equal, like, it's different, but, like, right now.
And I'll tell you a little story. Like, when I was 19, I had a background singing gig in California, in LA. And I thought I knew the best. Like, I thought I knew all my stuff. I was like, I know how to sing and all this. I showed up at that gig, and at the rehearsal, I only sang lead. No idea how to sing harmony. Like, I knew it if I wasn't singing against somebody. But I was like, I got fired.
We've all been there. I've done
very brashly. I cried. I felt like I was wronged. And I was like, but I learned in that moment, oh, I want all these opportunities. So I have to be ready for these opportunities. I have to prepare. Like, you can have talent, but you also have to have preparation. So I say to young artists, whatever color you are, but especially Black artists, like, when you go in, like, just make sure you got it. Like, work hard, because you will keep it. Yeah. Because things are, this industry, I think a lot of times when you're young, you forget how much work it is. And it still is work. Yeah. It is still work. And people hold you accountable. So while I know most people I know will come in and, like, kill it, I also know there are some young, naive artists that will come in and be like, I got this. And I'm like, just practice a little harder. Because when you get that opportunity, and if you're on a big stage, like, if you're in Nashville, if you're in other places, you don't always get opportunity after opportunity, especially if you're a minority. Like, they'll be like, your name gets around. And I was lucky that it was a small thing. And I also messed up the national anthem.
Oh my God.
Small thing on a small stage, which I was very thankful for. It wasn't at the Warriors. And I still remember. I go, okay, I know the anthem, but I got to practice it. I don't sing the anthem anymore. But when I did, I don't sing it until we're a little more equal. So that's my own personal thing. But I have sang it. I made a lot of money singing the anthem on my anthem circuit. That's what I call it.
Good.
My national anthem circuit. And then I was like, I don't like the national.
As long as you got paid. I mean, I feel like
you have to, and I had to negotiate that when I didn't realize you could get paid to sing the national anthem. Like when I started singing for the NBA and NBA teams, they would be like, okay, I'm gonna give you tickets. And I'm like, yeah, I got tickets to a game. I had no idea that I could negotiate pay, my travel, all this other stuff. And they were like, I had no idea. So my first few games I did for tickets. And now I'm like, no, you're gonna pay me a little bit more. I don't need the tickets. I'm good. Like, I don't need to bring all my crew to come see the game. I'm like, I need to pay my rent. So, and what's crazy is the first time I asked, I was scared, but the answer I got back immediately was like, yeah, we have a budget for that, because they have a budget for it.
Because they know.
They
but
know.
They're not gonna, most people aren't going to show up being good. You know what I mean?
Like,
so like,
ask, because the worst they're going to say is, oh, we don't have that. But most of the time, if you're getting picked for a gig, there is a budget for it. It doesn't all have to be to gain your following or to like give you exposure. Like they're hoping you take that, but usually they got some money, especially if you're singing for like a sports team or some like the Warriors have some money.
Yeah,
they just do.
Well, and Nashville has money. That's the thing.
Nashville
like,
has money.
Act like there's not enough to go around, but like
there's money.
Is an industry, a big industry, and like they have money.
One
and
of the only growing industries.
Yeah, and they can. I mean, they seem to be able to find a job for their buddy that they golf with. You know what I mean? Like they got money for that guy.
Yes. Yeah. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid. And that goes back to where you say worth. Like, know your worth. What do you expect? And don't be fearful. I say that's a big thing. And I've been trying to instill that in some young artists I know that are in their teens that are in LA, and say, hey, girls, like, you are Black, you are beautiful, you are powerful, you can sing me under the table. So no, just because you don't have the success yet, you have the ability. So realize your worth. Yeah. And that's big. Like, I'm like, I know there's many people that can out-sing me, but I know what my talent is. I know what my skill set is. I know what I'm good at. I know where my voice fits. I know people that it wouldn't fit with. I know people I'm like, I wouldn't want to sing with you because my voice won't fit with you. Yeah. And so just learning about yourself and learning that this is a time when people are going to try to make you a token. Yeah. But the more you are not afraid of your own worth, the harder it is for them to make you that token. Because you're standing in your power. Yeah. And that goes with also being just a woman. They're trying to tokenize women too, just in general. Yeah. No, but I think it's so important because also right now there is this weird, like, secondary power that's sort of happening for white women in diversity spaces. And I'm in these spaces. So this is me acknowledging, like, I am in these spaces too. Yeah. Like these task force that are trying to help, you know, the Grammys and the ACM. And like, there's tons of spaces where people are supposedly getting a moment to help lift up, you know, anyone who's underrepresented. And white women seem to be stepping into this space, like, because they're not white men. So I feel like we're like, oh, well, it's a woman. Yeah. But like, I have to say, like, some of these people, actually most of these people are problematic. Like, and they're still learning, and it's tough to see that because they're coming from experienced spaces and spaces that have some kind of power. That's why they're being invited into these rooms. And so people are afraid to correct them. And then on top of it, like, they are showing up and taking the meetings and the money and the air up for people that are about to make change. And like, I just
I just want them to stop. Just
Yeah.
pause. Because if you haven't figured it out yet and you're about to take up all the goodwill of
Yeah.
like people are open to it right now and people do have money for it and they are wanting to write checks and they are wanting to start programs. But if if white women that haven't fully figured it out yet are showing up, because we can get those meetings first, can't we?
Yeah.
Like, that's the line it goes. So if we show up and we take those meetings and we do the thing and it doesn't fully work because obviously we tokenized some people, we didn't really make a change and the program falls apart or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And the real people come along who are like, no, I've got it. Like, let me figure it out. They're like, we tried it.
Yeah.
And I wrote a check last week and I helped these people the other day. And it's like, so you are going, this is like a very specific thing I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, I understand.
People are going into those spaces to help. And if you are not at the center of experiencing this lived oppression and barriers, like, please don't. Like, you need to center someone else
Mm-hmm.
in space, and they need to be the ones like helping pull this together. Like, I don't know how to.
Yes.
Am I saying this right?
You're saying it right. Yeah.
Okay.
Like, again, if the people aren't in the room that have experienced it, then how are you going to change it? Like, if you haven't, like, you have to be in the room to experience it. So yeah, you might want a white woman, but if the whole room is still white, like, is that diversity?
And
how
that white woman,
if you haven't experienced it, you can't change it
yeah.
alone.
And if that white woman or a black man has been in the industry this whole time, and that's why you're inviting them because there's some clout or whatever.
They've already played the game in the industry.
Yeah. And they didn't do it before. Yeah. So like they're used to making concessions. And I'm not even pointing fingers. I think sometimes it comes across like I'm saying you. I'm saying me.
Yeah.
I haven't done what I could have done this whole time. So you're putting your whole faith and trust in me. That is not the answer. You maybe be inspired to like make sure you're having the right people in the center. Mm-hmm. Because that part is frustrating to watch. People bring on consultants. Yeah. People bring on hopefully everybody's getting paid at least. Yeah. But if you're bringing on the people that have just been here, same thing when let's lift up, black musicians, and then everyone can only name the 5 black musicians that already have gigs. Yeah. There's others. Yeah. They're doing just fine. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And there are people, I always say, there's people in the industry. If you're already in the industry and anybody can name you and anybody knows who you're talking about, that's not necessarily who we need to help. I need to help the person that you don't know their name, but I'm going to show you, I'm going to send you a video and you're going to be like, what? Oh, this person's super talented. I'm like, yeah, because I found out this person from this person, because they're not well known. Yeah. Exactly. You have to ask around because that's how you find out the people. And in the committee, you might want some people that are known that to have start the traction. But if that's the whole committee, if that's the whole basis, you're not going to make the change that you really have the ability to change.
Yeah. And that's what I see this
you can have the ability to do so much more. So why are we going to accept scraps? Yeah. And people think scraps is the whole world because you've had nothing. So you're like, oh, I'll take some scraps. But I always say, I want the pie. Yeah. And I want the people around to have the pie. I don't say me as just person. I think people deserve the pie. I think we should stop accepting scraps.
Yeah. And when you take the scraps, you're teaching people that that's okay to give out scraps. So everyone after you has to take scraps now. Whatever you're willing to compromise, you're handing that compromise to everyone behind you. I mean, and me.
And Lindsay, you mentioned Darius Rucker. I'm trying to get Darius Rucker on here because I have some things I want to talk to him about.
I
but
love
also because he came into the game in a different time, and he came into the game in a band that was for white people, and it's just a different time. And he's also a man, but I'm also like, and I've said this publicly: do more, do more, do more.
And it's not fair.
And you have, and I'm not saying you're bad for not. I'm just saying I want you to do more, do more.
Yeah, and I love
that's my world for people.
Well, and I think it's just, it's not fair because so many people, like what Lindsay's saying, just like throw Darius's name around. Like as if no one's responsible for anything because Darius. And like,
and that's one,
no way Darius
is one person.
Yeah.
That is one person. Also, look at how he gained fame. So when he came into country, he already had a platform. He already had a fan base. There was already so much there. Like, you have to look at incredibly
talented, full, like, I mean, just like had the whole deck of cards and still has said it's been difficult.
It's been difficult.
And he had
a black
all
man in this industry who has everything that you would think he could have. And still, he's a black man, folks. Yeah. And there's it's when you're the only one there, like, you have nobody else to lean on. Like, I'm always like, it's you and Charlie Pride. Like, it's just, like, I should be able to name far more people.
I know.
Than, like, those two. And now we have Jimmy Allen. Like, awesome.
Yeah. I know.
Like, but that's 3 people.
Yeah.
3 people. Like that.
I know.
Because if I walk down Broadway in Nashville, I see a lot more than those 3 people, and people that are so talented that deserve opportunity. Yeah. And deserve the fans to decide if they're worthy of it. And deserve the meetings and deserve all the things to get to the place where, you might get all of that and not come out at the wrong time or any of that stuff. But you deserve the opportunity.
Yeah. I mean,
that's to get to a place where you can go play the Opry and do that stuff. Like, you deserve the opportunity to be able to do those things. Yeah. To normalize it, you know?
And I think people are just, it's so deeply ingrained that you have to be afraid. Mm-hmm. That, like, country music, like, so deeply, people in the industry believe this fake narrative that country music is by white people for white people. And so you see anyone else as a risk, like a financial risk, like morality outside of it. And like, so then you start hedging your bets and you start not signing them, or if you do sign them, like, then they have to, like, same thing with, like a lot of artists that we see, like, they have to somehow prove that they're country enough extra, like white women have to do this, black people have to do this, like, somehow you couldn't possibly be country because, you don't look like a white dude. So it just, there's a lot in attitudes that we got to work on. Yeah. And I just want to see it in the investment that you're making. Like, if you're going to sign artists, if you're going to just openly be, like, racist, then that's one thing. Like, go have your racist. But if you're going to pretend, like, if you're going to say out loud that I'm here for all the country music, because I think country music is important for our community, for, human beings, then you need to be showing up with, like, the support and the opportunity, like, for everybody, not necessarily equally, but just what they need to go somewhere and have a shot at it. So,
Yeah. Oh, Cam, I have to say, I appreciate you so much.
I appreciate you having these
that you're, you don't know it all, but you want to learn. And I don't know it all. Like, I'm not, but I like conversation where we can see what each of us don't know and we can share. And I'm always appreciative that you're willing to, like, hold space and time in this time, because time is, precious. And I hope that we can continue this conversation. We're going to need to do another one, because I could talk to you for hours. I could just be on here for hours, just chatting it up.
Thanks for at least making a space to talk about it, because I really, I just feel like I've been on this journey for like a couple years now, trying to learn as much as I can and trying to speak to people about it. And like, there's really, I do feel like, sadly, like not a lot of people that I can talk to. You know what I mean? And like, the more I go, the more I find people, but it means a lot that you have a space like this. Like, literally, like, I love how people come on here and they're talking about the music. I love that you love the music. This means so much to me. But also, like, I love that we can just sit here and talk about, like, what are we going to do about white supremacy in country music? And how are we going to make sure, like, it's just like, you know, we want the best music for everybody.
Yeah.
That's why we're doing this, because everybody deserves the best music. Everybody deserves a shot at getting paid if they're the best for the job. Yeah. And that's not how it is right now.
Yeah.
And I think everybody agrees on that, but they just don't see the full picture.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to learn, I'm trying to do stuff. And I am really hopeful that the more we keep talking about it, the more we have, the more positive news and the more solutions we got. And
we are going to keep talking about it. We are going to keep talking about it. And we are going to, and yes, and I love your music as well. I'll tell you that, obviously. And I love you, but I also love you because you're the roots that you plant, the roots that you have grown are just, you tend your soil. And so I like people around me that tend their soil and that want to plant good seeds and know that it's going to take a while to see what grows, but the soil matters. And I want Nashville to have good soil. And I think we're starting to realize that we need to turn it over and we need to water it and we need to do some stuff with the soil. Like, people are starting to realize it. So now it's the time to, like, just double down on that. Be like, hey.
Every time I've run into something that impresses me, which is like not that often, but it is because somebody worked at it for 10 to 20 years.
Yeah.
That is when I'm like, oh, what did you do? How did you do that? And they're like, I did it for 10 to 20 years. It's like, oh, right. Okay.
Okay.
So let's start.
Well, like you said, the best time to plant a tree is like 20 years ago, but might as well plant it now. Like I saw you post that, like, start now. So anybody that's listening that doesn't know where to start, just, even on my page, I posted stuff for Giving Tuesday of, like, places you could, either if you can't donate, you can go read about them. Learn what you don't know. Learn what you don't know and realize that even learning that changes what you see. Just even spreading, following a few pages of people you wouldn't think of, just changes your consciousness, even by like 1%. That does something. It does something. And if that's all you can do, that's all you can do for right now. I'll take it. Like, I want people to realize that this industry, country music, is based in Black roots. And all we want is opportunity to sing the music that we love. And every race likes country music. It's not white music. It's just marketing they've done a great job of marketing it for, like, young white folks. Like, marketing has been genius on it.
Do you read Amanda Martinez
on
Twitter? She's a student she's doing her dissertation at UCLA, I want to say. And her research makes me so excited, it's just so specific, but it's like what's going on in country music and the marketing dollars and because they do the research every year. CMA has research to show you the growing numbers of Latinx community, of the Black community, people that are viewing the shows and purchasing and listening. And they know every year, they've been doing this for a very long time. They know that this is not just white people. And I wish everybody knew that so deeply because like, where you're.
And even when you go, like, concerts are one thing because that's also depending on where you are in the world. But if you go down to Lower Broadway in Nashville, you will see a diverse amount of people, and you will see Black people in the band, and you'll see all these different things in those small bars. especially when you go off the main strip. And I wish people could see that. Like, yeah, everybody likes country music. Like, it's just an honest storytelling music. So, and there's different genres within country music. So obviously some people like Americana, some people like pop country, all these things, but we can market it to Black and brown and other people, because also those people spend money. You'll make some money. Like, you're going to make some dollars if you market it to the people that are spending the money. So I'm always like, labels, you want to make money. Like, if you want to make money.
I'm so excited. Like, I just want to like see a future like show of just the most amazing mix of people singing country music. Yes. Like, we're going to be so good.
I mean, I'm just hoping, I just want Mickey to host. I'm just like, can you just host? Can you just host? Can we just have a Black host?
That's where I'm at. So hard. Every time I see, I'm like, wow, you're doing that and that. It's just pregnant. I'm just like, how are you doing like, all this?
I'm like, girl, I'm like, let's have you be the host. Like, I want you up there. I'm like, obviously the #1 fan club. I bought all her new merch that she put out, and yours.
Yay.
I got your merch too, because I always support a Bay Area girl. So I love you. I love you.
Love
and
you.
Let's do this again very, very soon.
Yeah.
And I appreciate what you're doing, and I am so glad that our worlds have collided and that we're on this road. It just brings me so much joy. So much joy. And you give that Lou a kiss for me. Give her a big hug and kiss.
Give Ruby a little love for me too.
I will. I'll send you a little picture of her with her doll.
So cute.
All righty. I'm going to let you go. I'll save this on my page if anybody came in late and wants to just, watch it over and enjoy the conversation. Okay?
Yeah.
Yay. Bye, girl.
Bye.
Bye.